in that case, I think what we can do is we can get started, and then yes, as people come in, then they can come in as well. So, folks, good evening. Happy Thursday. I hope Thanksgiving treated you and your family members well. And so I'm Carl. I am a committee co-chair of the Youth Services Education Libraries Committee for Brooklyn Community Board 14. And Eric Ost is the other co-chair as well. And so we welcome you folks. And on our agenda first today, we have a presentation from Lorna, do I say Blanca Flor? Okay, great. It's from Lorna Blanca Flor, the director of the New Americas Initiative at the YMCA of Greater New York. Lorna, by any chance, is it just you, or will also Beatrice Jean-Claude be presenting as well? You're on mute again. Lorna, you're on mute, so we can't hear you again.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's
okay.
just me for tonight. Unfortunately, Beatrice won't be able to make it.
Okay, no problems. So without further ado, you can begin your presentation. And just a heads up for you, what we try to do is, let's see if you have about like 10 to 15 minutes, and then after that, we'll open it up to any questions that people have regarding your presentation. Okay.
Okay, I would like to share a document, a PowerPoint presentation. I believe I'm not sure, Sean, if you receive it, but I can share it if you can allow me to share.
I just made you the presenter. So there is that folder with the arrow tab at the bottom. That is your share screen button.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is working just fine for you. Great.
Yeah. Is this okay for everyone?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lorna Blanca Flor. Oops, sorry. I work for the New Americans Initiative of the YMCA of Greater New York. The New Americans Initiative actually is in 4 different sites. We have Flatbush, Chinatown, Harlem, and Flushing. So we operate in these 4 sites of the YMCA branches here in New York City. We have been in existence for quite a while, and the New Americans Initiative of the YMCA of Greater New York embraces and elevates equity, diversity, and inclusion for all. Our mission, we've been in existence for more than 100 years. We started our ESL, small ESL classes at the Ellis Island in 1909. And we have been continuing our services in providing ESL, or English as a Second Language, classes. And also we do have citizenship and work readiness classes in our program right now. Our vision for the New Americans Initiative, we would like to create a healthier, safer, and more connected communities by supporting the immigrants and the refugees as they acquire education, skills, and resources necessary to become self-sufficient, to build a prosperous life here in the United States. We have a very diverse group of staff. I come from the Philippines. We also have Beatrice, who's a program coordinator at Flatbush Y, is from Haiti. And we have Chinese, Burmese, and Spanish speakers in our staff, so that we could be able to help more the community in serving the immigrants in their own language also. Our program provides contextualized language instruction, and I, as mentioned, we provide workforce training classes. We are focused on food safety certification and Microsoft Office certification, but this is only provided in our Flushing and Chinatown classes. At Flatbush, we are very limited to our services due to funding. We provide ESL classes and civics classes to adult immigrants 18 years old and up, and also we provide case management. In addition to our ESL classes, we also provide workshop presentations from our partners in regards to immigration, food access, job readiness trainings from different programs here in the city, especially in Brooklyn, and also childcare. Uh, at Flatbush YMCA, we do have a food pantry that offers food actually to the community every second Wednesday of the month. Our workshops are being presented by our partners. With regards to immigration, we have partnered with GMHC on the legal immigration services. Also, CUNY Citizenship Now provides legal help and citizenship application to our students, and also a little bit of amnesty um, help or support with our students. We have partnership with Hotbread Kitchen and Emma Storch. Both are culinary training programs. Hotbread Kitchen is geared only towards women, and Emma Storch is actually a restaurant in Brooklyn, and they provide culinary training to adult immigrants and refugees. We have very successful students that graduated or have gotten their certification at Emma Storch. We also have a partnership with MetroPlus, with Workforce One, the Brooklyn Library, Canva, Flamboyant, and the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs to provide workshops and know your right to our students. We do have in Flatbush a lot of Haitian students who has just or have arrived or newly arrived immigrants in New York. This is our well, few or four students who have successfully um, gotten their training at Emma Storage. And of course, we also have previous graduates that we were not able to add in here. That these are Erlene, David, Yoldi, and Tidia are our new students or present students who are getting their culinary training at Emma Storage. Since our program at Flatbush is funded by the Department of Youth and Community Development under the NDA. So we have very limited service in the community because they only want us to serve um, the community within the five zip codes that they require us to serve. We do have training programs that we have at Flushing and in Chinatown. So far, most of our students have received or has started the beginner and graduated or moved on to intermediate and advanced classes. At Flatbush, we only have three classes. They meet Monday and Wednesday, 2 days a week for 12 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks actually, for 3 hours each section. If you have any questions or you would like to learn more about our program, you can email us at newamericans@ymcanyc.org or to me, Lorna Blanca Flor, and Beatrice Jean Claude is our program coordinator at Flatbush YMCA. That's all for now that I could share about our program. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm open to answering them.
Excellent. So Lorna, thank you very much for sharing that overview of the New Americans Initiative program. So
Thank you.
yes, no, definitely. So let me open it up. Do folks have any questions for Lorna?
Hi, Eric. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for coming and presenting. Appreciate it. I have two questions, but the first one I wanted to ask is, what is the best? You put up the emails. Is that the best way for people to get in touch with the organization to find out what the workshops are available, or do you recommend people go to the Flatbush location in person? Like, what do you recommend is the best way for people to find out what you have and when?
Yeah, actually, both ways is best for us. We do have online registration. We also have, I can send you our flyers with the QR code. The students can just take a picture of a QR code and register online. They can also send us an email and we can send them a flyer with a QR code so that they can register ahead of time. We are very limited in the days of our registration. In Flatbush, next cycle, we are going to start on January 8th, but our registration will be on January 2 and 3. So we do have an open registration in the first 2 weeks of our classes. As mentioned, we have very limited service only in the community because of our funding. They require us only to serve students or members of the community who live in the 5 zip codes that they allowed us to give, you know, or for the students who live in the following zip codes or the 5 zip codes. They can come to Flatbush Y in person, and we can also register them in person. We can give them a laptop that they could use so that they could be able to register online if they have having a problem with their telephone or they don't have access to computer.
And my other question, and I see Corazon will go next. You mentioned there's, you have a limited capacity for the programming you have at Flatbush, but
Mhm.
if somebody came to Flatbush and they got enrolled in your case management and there was kinds of services that you had in in one of the other offices, would people be connected to there? Or is it just what's in Flatbush, people who are here? I don't know. Would connection to other services be available that you didn't have in Flatbush if people could travel or go to the other sites?
Yes, definitely. We are open on the 4 sites that we have, or the 3 other sites that we have that we offer ESL, job readiness classes, and other trainings in Flushing, in Harlem, and in Chinatown. If the student or the community member is willing to travel to these sites, yes, definitely, we will be able to refer them. During the registration also, or intake process, they register online first. Then we call them to come in person to fill out the application form. During that intake process, we ask them where they live and if they are in an NDA area, living in an NDA area, then they are accepted. If not, and if they're willing to travel to Chinatown, to Harlem, or to Flushing, we could refer them right there and then. Oh, by the way, also, we're still crossing our fingers. We're planning to open additional classes at Flatbush, serving students outside of the MBA. So hopefully, hopefully we can open it up next year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric.
Go ahead, Corazon.
Uh, Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Lorna, for the presentation. I just wanted to clarify if you had said it was like only 5 zip codes in Flatbush that are currently being served. Is that, I guess, are people readily able to preemptively search if they're in that particular zip code, or are they only able to find that out if they first go to you?
Well, most of them they will find out that, hey, I don't live in this zip code that we require you to be in. Yeah, unfortunately, most of them. But most of the students that come also, they live within the NBA area that we are serving. Those zip codes that we have, I'm not really very sure if you're familiar, but it's 11218, 11230, 11210, 11203,
I want to write them down.
11226. Okay.
One. Yeah, I want to write.
11218,
Mhm,
11230,
mhm.
11210, 11203, and 11226. These are the 5 zip codes that we asked our students if they live in this area or living in this neighborhood.
All right, thank you. And the acronym you were saying is NDA?
NDA, it's Neighborhood Development Act. It is a funding by the Department of Youth and Community Development that only requires us to serve a certain number of people or living in the neighborhood in these 5 zip codes. But as mentioned, Curzon, we hope to open up new classes to serve those students who are living outside of this NDA or
Very
living
cool.
outside of this zip codes that I just mentioned.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Carl.
Thank you, folks. And so I have 2 questions. One of them is just reconfirming the registration timelines you had mentioned. And so just to confirm, the new schedule of courses at the New American site at the Flatbush Y, that starts on January 8th, 2024, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And the
Oh,
registration is on January 2 and 3. If they haven't registered online, they can come and we can register them right away.
okay, understood. Thank you for that. And then the follow-up question I have within the registration before my next question is, did I mishear you that there's like a 2-week window from the start of the courses where they could come in person and register in case they're having any problems?
That's correct. So the
Okay.
first 2 weeks is our open registration. So
Hmm.
anyone who has not registered on January 2 and 3 and would like to attend our classes,
Hmm.
we can still accept people in the first 2 weeks of our classes. So the
Okay.
week of
Thank you.
January 8 and the week of January 16.
Okay, got you. Thank you so much for that clarity. And then the other question I had too is, so what was it? I think it was basically like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. The current administration implemented one of the first like rounds of budget cuts. And so my question is, have you heard anything from DYCD or other city agencies in terms of if they've been affected by that round of cuts that have already been implemented? Or, as of this moment, you haven't heard anything from DYCD if the cuts that have been implemented affect them and your work so far?
So far, I haven't heard anything, Carl, with regards to
Okay.
budget cuts from DYCD. Um, Hopefully, our budget will still go on.
Understood. Thank you so much. Sean, I see you have your
Thank
hand
you.
up.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's both the burden and the beauty of DYCD is that it's a contracting agency. And so programs that are in place now, the funding was in place for them. So you can't cut once the contract has been in place. So we're probably sitting pretty with this particular program. I just don't know if I missed it or if I'm asking. Some of the languages that you mentioned, I didn't hear Urdu. And I'm wondering if you have programs and providers for the Urdu speaking population, of which there are many in our district.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sean, we do have very few students who come or who speaks Urdu in our program. Before, we had some Arabic students from Yemen who came to our program, but for this cycle, for this fall cycle, we we don't have one. We really would like to tap other, um, you know,
Sure.
other
Good. We'll continue this
students.
conversation then, because we can certainly work on getting the word out to the networks in that community. And I think that we could probably grow that population in your program.
That would be great, Sean. I will definitely reach out to you with regards to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll be happy to serve them.
And I believe, I apologize, I'm going to mispronounce your name. Is it Katie or?
It's Katie. It's a
You may,
J, but it's Katie.
okay, Katie, yes. My apologies. I
No,
saw
no,
you
it's
had your
totally
hand
fine.
up
It's
first.
counterintuitive. Nobody gets it right. It's just me.
That's cool.
Um,
So you have a question? I did see your hand raised at one point.
Oh, I was just going to comment on the DYCD thing, which is they were affected by cuts when the list was released. They were listed as an agency that had been forced to make cuts. And I would say on our side, where we've felt it immediately was in some of our expansion contracts. So yes, we are a contracted agency. There's a baseline number of seats we know we're going to get each year, but typically we have an expansion that comes sort of earlier. This year it came much later, and for certain contracts, especially those around high school equivalency, that was where we felt the cuts. And there are a number of things that DYCD was planning to do over the next year to 6 months that they've been very quiet about.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that, Katie. That's
Thank you.
sad to hear, but thank you for sharing that, though, definitely. So, seeing no other questions, Lorna. Oh, wait,
Eric,
just kidding, Eric.
All right, let's have one
I
more
see.
question, and then
Yeah, what's up? Go ahead.
I'm just thinking about some of the recent immigrants in our district, and right now, one of the main issues is transferring to new housing. And I was just curious if New Americans Initiative and Flatbush or any of the other ones have, as part of your services, any housing placement support or helping people navigate anything having to do with housing or tenants' rights or things like that.
Yeah. We, as Beatrice St. Claude, our program coordinator and slash case manager, talks to our students and helps them navigate online and searching for housing, or even we have, as far as I remember, we have one student who is in a shelter right now and is applying for housing. And yeah, Beatrice is helping her navigate the system in getting her own place. So hopefully that would help, and with regards to housing. But yeah, Beatrice Jean Claude, our program coordinator, helps every student that we have in their needs, or anyone in the community who comes in and asks for help. We are very open to supporting them in whatever needs that they are asking. are looking for.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric.
Well, Carl, should we say thank you? And we have another guest speaker as well. Should we?
Yes, we should. And so, Lorna, thank you so much for taking the time to share this information. Definitely, in the brief time, there was a lot to chew on. So thank you, and Beatrice and the rest of the team for, what you're doing in Flatbush and the other sites as well. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much also for inviting me.
Definitely.
And I think
Eric, now I turn it to you.
Oh, thank you. All right, thank you, Carl. And I think we always say, you're welcome to stay. We hope you will for the rest of the meeting. But if you have to go, thank you so much for being here. All right, so we have already heard from Katie, our next guest, who comes to us from NMIC's Education and Career Services. And Katie same thing, we'll go 10, 15 minutes, whatever, and we'll go questions, and we appreciate you coming. So welcome.
Thank you. And it's so nice to see everyone and meet you. Lorna, it's nice to see you again. I too have a little presentation. Which is it sharing? Let's see. I am now the presenter. Let's see if that works now. There we go. Yay. All right. Okay. So yes, welcome. My name is Katie King. I am the Director of Education and Career Services at the Northern Manhattan Improvement Corporation. We go by NMIC because it's a lot easier. It takes up much less time. NMIC's mission is to serve as a catalyst for positive change. We are about helping people find sustainability in New York City. That is really all of the work that we do is towards that goal of creating a sustainable life for new immigrants, for low-income people, for long-term residents, specifically in Upper Manhattan, but our services are all citywide. We were founded two decades ago, actually 45 years ago, in an apartment in Washington Heights, to address the needs of the community. And that has been our work ever since then. Our work has shifted and changed as the needs of the Washington Heights and Inwood community has changed. Our service area has changed as the long-term residents started to move into the Bronx, into other parts of Manhattan to expand and take on those areas. But really, we're looking at the different needs that everyone needs, everything from crisis intervention to wellness, and to provide them with the tools that they need to move to self-sufficiency. As I said, we're located in Northern Manhattan, and we do have a satellite office in the Bronx. Most of our services, especially the education and career services, all do take place in our Washington Heights office. And as I said, we accept clients from all 5 boroughs. I'm going to walk through broadly some of the non-education and career services that NMIC provides, because we really do provide an important array of services. And if you have questions about these, I will do my best to answer them, but there is more information, including how to refer clients, on our website, which I'll have at the end of the presentation for folks. So we provide an array of social services for community members. That's everything from benefits access, helping people get their SNAP benefits. We do seasonal tax preparation, including for individual business owners and entrepreneurs. So if you own a small business, if you're working like as a Lyft driver and you have to do taxes around that, our team can help you there. We offer different financial services, so everything from consumer legal debt to financial planning and basic financial literacy. We have a monthly food pantry that we operate out of our Washington Heights offices on the second Friday of every month. And then our disability advocacy project, which advocates on behalf of people with disabilities who have been denied social security insurance and SSI benefits. We also provide a range of legal and advocacy programs, primarily around immigration, housing, tenants' rights, as well as some work to make buildings safer and more livable. And then lastly, in coordination with our benefits work, we work with New York Presbyterian Hospital to do health insurance navigation to help people find health insurance, complete that process to sign up and access their benefits. community health services, mental health, and wellness programs. We do have a team that runs monthly art and wellness events that are open to the entire community. We have Masters of Social Work interns who can do some counseling with individuals. And we have our domestic violence awareness and support services that provide everything from access to support to find housing, counseling, and legal support. So that's a little bit about all the stuff that's not my department. The stuff that is my department. So NIMIC offers a range of education and career services for young adults and adults. And these include, these include high school equivalency work, English as second language classes, vocational training, and job placement supports. So our clients are typically out of work, out of school individuals. For our young adults who start as our youngest clients are 16. They are typically out of school, so they are no longer enrolled in school or have been out of school for at least 6 months. Many lack work experience or have been out of work for 6 months or more. Many are English language learners, many are justice involved, and housing unstable. So it's a very high need, it's a very vulnerable population that we're working with. Our different programs are adult basic education, high school equivalency work, English for speakers of other language, our youth build and train and earn, which are our young adult career programs, and then our adult career services, which are security guard training and home health aid training. So a little bit about our adult ed. We do high school equivalency preparation. We start with folks we do an intake test, and if you tested about a 6th to 7th grade level, we're able to take you into our programs and work with you until you are ready to take your GED, however long that may take. So someone can start with us in September and stay with us all the way to the end of the year. We've had folks who've been with us for 2 years until they're ready to take that test. I'm very excited to say that this week we had our first diploma of the year. So that was pretty exciting for that team. Both our high school equivalency and English and ESOL classes happen morning and evenings, Mondays through Thursdays. So we have a 9 to 12, and then we have a 6 to 9 in the evenings. All instruction is in person. It does require pre and post testing. That is part of our contract with DYCD, is we need to demonstrate that folks are making gains. And we offer multiple levels. So we do offer sort of very basic introductory all the way through I'm ready to take my high school equivalency exam, or I'm pretty comfortable with English and I'm working on sort of conversation and being confident rather than content. Our youth build program is a mix of high school equivalency and vocational training. It is open to young adults 17 through 24. They must be a New York City resident. They must be out of school and not have their high school diploma. Students are with us full-time Monday through Friday. In the morning, they work with us towards their high school degree. We are actually a Pathways to Graduation site, which is the Department of Education's alternative high school program. So there is a room on the 5th floor of our building that is technically a DOE classroom. So our students are doing that in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, we're working with them around employment readiness, financial literacy, and they are focused on transferable business skills. So they're learning Microsoft Office, they're learning customer service, and they actually do a business plan as kind of a capstone project to cap off the work that they're doing. But we really do intend to have them leave with a certification in Microsoft Office, either PowerPoint or Word. And for Youth Build, it is I'll say this for all of our programs, it is a rolling admission. If someone comes to us and says, I want to apply today, we will let them apply. We will start that intake process for them. Our GED and ESOL classes run on 10-week cycles. So we have one that starts in September, one that starts in January, one that starts in like late March, first week of April. But we will get you ready to go now. We will not tell you have to wait 3 weeks to start this process. We will not tell you come back, in a month. We will say, great, let's get your paperwork, let's get you tested, let's get you ready to go. And that applies to all of our programs. So Youth Build also enrolling on a rolling basis. And for this, we do have more flexibility. So literally, if someone comes to us today, we'll move them through the process and get them into the classroom as soon as possible. Our train and earn program, also rolling basis. However, it moves in 5-week cohorts. So we're typically running a new cohort of students every 6.5 to 7 weeks. So if a student comes to us, we'll start them through the process and get them into that next cohort. But this is a vocational training program. Students are certified in ServSafe, which is on the pathway to the New York City food handler's license, as well as customer service. They also do employment readiness training, financial literacy, life skills work with us over the course of their 5 weeks. At the end of those 5 weeks, we work with them to either move them into an internship, help them find employment, or help them return to the next step in their educational journey. Students in Train and Earn can come to us with or without a high school diploma. So if you have one, that's wonderful. We're happy to have you. If you don't, that's okay. So for some students, the next step is going back to school, high school. For some, it's applying to college. We really try to meet students where they are and help them find the right step that's right for them. For some, it's also advanced training. We have students who have come to us and then left this program to actually move on to do training as a medical assistant, as a 5G technician. So really helping them find that pathway that makes sense for them. You must be 16 to 24 years old for this, a New York City resident, and again, out of school, out of work, but you can have your degree. And lastly, our adult career programs are our security guard training. This is a 3-week hybrid program. We run these every 6 to 8 weeks as well. Over the course of the 3-week, we do employment readiness, so jobs, resume, interview, all of those pieces that we've talked about before. And then they do the required 8 and 16-hour security guard training, as well as fire guard prep. And we'll work with them to get all of their paperwork in place to get their New York State security license. You must be 18 years old. You must be a New York City resident, and priority is given to SNAP recipients. The important thing to say here is this program, like all of NIMIC's program, is entirely free. However, we cover the cost of fingerprinting, which is about $100, and the application fee for the New York State Guard license, which is about $37, it's about $150. NIMIC will pay that for clients if they complete the training. So that is a cost that's not passed on to them. It is a benefit to them for working with us. Once they get their license, usually takes 2 to 3 weeks. We will help them find employment. We have a number of employers, security companies, New York Presbyterian, different real estate firms who hire through us. We hold hiring events. We work with Workforce One to refer clients out. So we work with them to help them get placed and to follow up with them and support them through sort of the acclimation and first year of their employment. And we do track folks through that process. And then lastly is our home health aid training. This is a 4-week program that's in person. We recruit and screen folks for this and then work with partners who do the training and hire directly out of that training. So if we refer you to one of our partner agencies for training, it is with the intention that they will hire you at the end of that training, which is great for folks. These are classes that are available in English and Spanish. Unfortunately, this is the only program we offer in Spanish. Everything else is English only. And this is SNAP beneficiaries preferred, but we do open it up to non-SNAP beneficiaries as well. And that is our email address where you can find, or our website. I'm so sorry, it is so late. I am losing it. And our general number, I can also put in the chat our general email address, which is very simple. It's ECS, Education Career Services, @nimic.org. Any questions you direct there, it's checked regularly, and we'll have someone from the appropriate team get back to you. With that, can I answer questions for anyone?
Go ahead. Carl, go ahead.
So Katie, good evening. Thank you for that. My question was regarding the program to help folks get their GED. And so if I remember correctly, you had mentioned if they test at a 6th or 7th grade reading level, then NIMIC can get them. My question is, what happens if someone tests below 6th to 7th grade, right? Like, do you have a program for them, or, okay, bingo.
We refer them out to partner organizations that are better prepared to support them.
Okay, understood. And then Are those organizations the ones that would take them all the way through the GED? It's like they get them to the 6th or 7th grade reading level and then they come back to mimic. Or...
It depends on the individual. For most groups, if someone starts with, if they have a program that goes that young, that starts below that, they often will go all the way through the GED high school equivalency. Some clients may choose to come back to us because we're more convenient or they're working with us on some other area. So our door is always open to them.
Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it.
Yep. Yes.
I wanted to ask you about your outreach processes. How do you bring programs to participants or participants to programs?
Sure. So we have a number of different outreach, and I will say I know it's weird that someone from representing Northern Manhattan is at a Brooklyn Community Board meeting, but I am always surprised by how many people from Brooklyn are in our programs. I live in Brooklyn in Community Board 12, I think 14, or right next to it. So I kind of like the addresses pop out of me. I'm like, oh, I know where they are. But so there is quite a bit of crossover. But I will say our outreach, we work with partner organizations across the city. We have a mailing list of about 2,000 different nonprofit representatives, case managers, different groups where we share when we're doing recruitment, when our opportunities are open, if anything like that, any new programming. We post opportunities on our social media. We work with local elected officials to promote opportunities with through them. We do flyering across the community. We are partnered with, it used to be called Now POW, and now it is called, I think, Unite Us, which is the referral service used by New York Presbyterian to link clients to multiple services. So we're listed there for all of our services. So there are a number of ways folks can find us.
I appreciate that. And 2000 is a lot of organizations, but I just want, the groups I was thinking of include like Drum and Elite Learners and the groups that are out there doing the violence disruptors and the cure violence groups, because they're interfacing with out of school youth. And so if you don't already have those connections, I'd like to make them. And I also thought of like the youth, the YNCOs, before youth become justice involved. They're trying to steer them to programs, and this sounds like it's right up the alley of some of the people that come to us to talk about and see if we have resources. So I just think that they would be valuable connections if they're not already in place.
That would be wonderful. I'd love it. I'm happy. I do events like this as often as I can to get our programs in front of different organizations and make those connections. So I'd be happy to speak with them. Thank you so much.
Groovy. And I should have said, I mean, we're going to be talking about it more and just as the co-chairs lead us forward in this meeting, but I do want to make sure that you both know that you are on the list for the youth conference this year, and hope that you'll participate in our about 60 to 80 agency organization job provider strong event that attracts about 500 young people.
Wonderful.
I see Corazon's hand. Go ahead, Corazon.
Hi, thank you, Katie. I just wanted to clarify if you, in your presentation, that you had mentioned that there was a GED program that was for adults outside of the 24 age range.
Yes.
Okay,
So
so
we
does that?
offer, yep. So we offer our Youth Build program, which has a GED and a vocational component for young people 17 to 24. But our basic GED program, which has morning and evening classes, is anyone 18 plus.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Do we have other questions from the community? I know that one of our members, oh, go ahead, Carl.
This is like a 1% sidebar, so not necessarily a question for community. It was just confirming that these presentations that we got from Lauren and also Katie, that there'll be a way for community members to be able to access these slides as well too.
Happy to share them.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Katie, for coming. We really appreciate, and we will be sharing this information out at our next board meeting as well. And we appreciate it, and we hope to definitely see you at the youth conference, which is our next agenda item. But to both of our presenters, we really appreciate you coming and spending time with us. So thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Again, welcome to stay. We're going to be preliminary planning, right, Carl? That's the next step for our youth conference planning. So but otherwise, we wish you a wonderful night. Get some good rest, and keep doing the great work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank
Yep.
you, Carl and Sean. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much,
Nice
folks.
Bye.
meeting you all. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Definitely. Thank you, folks.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, so as Eric had mentioned, yes, so now we're on to the next portion, which is preliminary planning for our 2024 youth conference. And so last year, I'm trying to remember the date that we did it last year. I think it was maybe
April 3rd.
later in the spring, April 3rd. Bingo. So there it was. Thank you very much. So that was April 3rd. And we did it at Brooklyn College. The year before that, we had done that at LaFrac. And that was, you know, due to many of the challenges of still being at the height of the pandemic, and then the 2 or 3 years before that being virtual, right? And so we're just getting things started, but basically one of the things we can definitely start thinking about is just the date, right? So last year's was April 3rd, and so we can definitely start thinking, are we thinking this one would be, you know, March, or would it be April? Another thing too for folks to know is that what we try to do is what we've tried to do historically is we've tried to time the youth conference to be at the same time, within the same time that the summer youth employment program that DYCD opens the enrollment window for. Because there's several organizations that can help some of these agencies be enrolled as potential organizations for SYEP. And so that's one of the things that, so like for folks who may not know, when we're thinking about the date, ideally, we hope that when DYCD lets us know what their SYEP window is, we hope that the date that we ended up picking falls within that window, because we sometimes don't have that clarity until, you know, a week or so before. But very high level, that's where things are. And so I guess the question I have for folks is, you know, what questions do you have about, you know, the youth conference that we did last year? And what questions do you have for the youth conference that we would be planning for this year? Sure.
Yeah, I want to jump right in with some encouragement toward earlier this year and to catch the SYAP deadline, which we missed. Wait, did we miss it last year? Or it got extended, and so we
I think it got
accidentally.
extended.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it was
you
like
know,
April
instead of
1st,
it
but they
being
extended it or something.
so, but we can certainly make it if we go to an earlier date in March. I think last year we did the nonprofit roundtable earlier, and this year we can put that off until the spring. So I think we're sitting pretty for March. Also, April begins a whole host of religious holidays, and it gets scheduling gets tricky. Ramadan does begin on March 10th. But this is a 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock event, and so I don't necessarily think that there's a clash, but we can double check with our friends in that community to make sure that we don't intersect with any important nights of the holy month of Ramadan. Or if we do it before March 10th, we don't have to worry about that. So there's my 4 cents.
Thank you very much for that, Sean. Corazon, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just thinking if there was a when we start planning like the layout to have the interview room a little bit closer to where the tabling is, because I was volunteering in the interview room last year and it just felt really far away.
Well, you know,
Mhm.
in fact, I think that we should have a conversation about moving the location and considering the Y again. For those of you who haven't attended the youth conference at the Y, um, we would use, if they would accept, if they'll have us, it's the giant gym. And so all of the tables, all of the tables are in one room. So we don't have that awkwardness where some of the people were upstairs and it didn't feel as busy. Um, um, and also then the rooms off of that, there's one room that's just a window away. You know, there's just a window wall between it. So it would feel very connected. And then there's a couple other rooms on that same hallway if we, um, you know, for like snack room or other things. So the layout is really good. The downside, and Carl will remember this, the downside is it doesn't have staff the way Subo has staff. So we do our own setup, and we've done it there more than once. And one of the years we had the good fortune of having the DSNY football team come and help us set up the 80 tables that we needed. But it's a schlep. It's, you know, it's getting order, it's renting tables and chairs, and then Patricia feels confident that we can find an outfit that does the setup for us. I feel like if that were so available, I would have done it, but maybe I was showing off that year and wanted to show how many tables I could carry with one hand over my head. I don't know, but it's just more labor intensive. But if we have an energetic committee who would be willing to, you know, put some physical labor into getting the setup done, if we can't find a company that does it for us, then I think that the space itself has, you know, has a lot of upsides.
Well, I like moving stuff.
Me too. It keeps you healthy, unless you drop it.
Yeah, that's the key thing. Don't drop it, right? It's good until you drop it, right? So then, so given that proposal of looking into a different location being the former location, is there, Sean? I guess one of the action items is could the CB14 office help us determine by when we'd have to let either location know?
Yeah, I did my outreach to the Y to see if they'd be available. I haven't reached out to Mitsu at Brooklyn College yet, but I could find out, you know, what the available. So that's what I'll do, is
Mhm.
ensure availability at both of the locations, and I can also do a cost comparison, although I don't know that we have to worry about that. We have budget, and Councilmember Rita Joseph has provided us with a member item to the tune of $5,000, and so we've got good budget for the event this year.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. The other thing too, I'm just remembering is one of the things we would have to do with the messaging is we'd have to be consistent with having Dwayne Joseph's name in there.
Yeah, so
Right.
so referring to it as the Dwayne Joseph Memorial Youth Conference,
Mm-hmm.
certainly that.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, I'm going to suggest that we sort of maintain the template that we used last year. You know, the tabling and the mock interviews. Then we should discuss workshops, but maybe not at this meeting necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have found that the workshops are not well attended, and it's like getting students into the room has been difficult. But maybe we
Yeah.
can table that till we figure out what space we're using, and then if there's a space that lends itself to, you know, that we think would facilitate more participation, we can, you know, revisit that. They're not
Okay.
it's not that hard to get organizations to volunteer to do them.
Mm-hmm.
But unless there was like some sort of seismic shift somebody thought about in terms of programming or how we organize this,
Mm-hmm.
and if so, just let me know, because we'll have to, you know, we're happy to think about other approaches.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, I was wondering about the workshops are always something that I think about. And so Eric, I see you have your hand up. What's up?
I was just curious if you guys after last year's event, did you have kind of like a formal debrief about what you liked, didn't like? I was there. It was set up. Mostly, I remember intense wind and trying to keep the posters outside on. But then there was like the log jam. I was part of the log jam at the elevator going up, and that was very challenging because there's a lot of people with ability needs. There was lots of kids coming with their parents, and some of those parents, you were either waiting for a very long time for that elevator or you're going 5 flights up. So the elevator was necessary for some of the attendees, and there's other people coming and using the building. So there was a bit of a logjam at the elevator. So I would put that out there as one reason why that might not be the ideal debates. I've never attended it at the Y, but it sounds like having an open room and maybe a little bit more accessible sounds like a good thing. But yeah, any other debrief that you guys had, I'd be here.
Sure. So I'm trying to remember. We did have a debrief, but what I'm trying to remember is if it had happened during the remainder of the year, if it happened like trying to think. It didn't happen in September.
It was pretty
No,
late.
this is our first committee meeting.
Yeah, it was later in the
happened
year. I
late.
think we did it in June.
Okay. So I think we did one in June, Eric. I would have to check. I would have to go back and check my notes and also rewatch that video just to see what were some of the things that were called out during that portion that was a debrief on it.
My recollection is the difficulty in getting people to go to the top floor and then come down. So our Corazon's note about the extent to which the mock interviews felt separated from things, some confusion on which door and sign in and stuff like that. Tweaks in terms of the layout. But I think there was really positive feedback on the sort of array of presenters or participants. And then the annual concern that's always expressed is the extent to which we might be able to attract more direct job providers in the future. So that's always a constant hurdle.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So Eric, that's kind of like a surface level answer to your question. So we did have one, but I think the video probably towards the end of the year, so maybe like a May or June of 2023. Maybe that one you'd be able to check that out and see what we discussed. Joanne, I see that you have your hand up. All right.
Hi. I'm just thinking about some of the notes and my personal observations of last year, and my real concern is workshops, and they sort of feel for the past few years, both at the Y and Brooklyn College and at LaFrac, they just seem underattended, and I just want us to think about, if mock interviews are as popular as they are, maybe we divert the energy from the workshops to mock interviews. That, and the caveat of that being that we have enough volunteers to actually facilitate that. But there was quite a few elected officials that participated last year, and that was really, really popular. So I just want to say that in as much as I think the workshops are useful, maybe doing them in a different way, and I'm not sure what that is. I might want to think about that a little bit and how they can be maybe a little bit more interactive, but they were not well attended in the past few years, and I think we should consider resources in that way. Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing that feedback, Joanne. Definitely. Sean?
Yeah, in response to that, Joanne, one of the thoughts I had is the idea of maybe pre-recording workshops so that it's sort of the opposite of what you said in terms of being interactive. It'd be a lot more passive. But if we have a few things that are recorded on continuous loop, and we set that up in a room where, say, the snacks are, that could sort of draw students in. And then also those workshops would live on the youth conference website as an ongoing resource. And I remember the year that we did the remote youth conference, and I had all of these doubts about there was the idea where we were asking organizations to do their own sort of promo video, if you will. And I had doubts about the number of organizations that would do it, but they did it and they were really good. And so there could be something like that. And then you've got that information that's available without the pressure. And in my case, how I react, some slight embarrassment that we ask people to come and present this and then there's no audience.
Yeah, I think you definitely are getting my vibe. And I like the idea of having a captain with snacks. And I think that's definitely our use of resource and a room we can.
Am I the only one who lost
No,
Joanne?
I think the connectivity was lost, but
Okay.
But I think,
Yeah.
I think we're kind of we're all revolving around a similar idea, and I'll get to work on trying to. Everybody here should get to work on sort of teasing out what that might look like if we think it's a good idea. And I can also, I betcha, Mark Moss would be helpful in this regard as he was last time.
Gotcha. Understood. Okay. And so, do folks have any other questions regarding this initial convo, on the youth conference? Either questions about last year's youth conference or some of the initial things that people have shared regarding this year's upcoming youth conference.
If nothing right now, too, if everybody on the committee could think about organizations that you know of or programs you're aware of, or even if it's not a program that, if there's a service that you think should exist and you don't know whether or not it does, put it out there and send us like the results of any brainstorming you do to the office, and we can do some research and some sleuthing to see if we can round out anything that you think wasn't provided or we could add to.
Sean, would you be able to send a list of the attendee organizations from last year?
It's all on the website it's all on the youth conference website. So we will send that link to everybody as follow up to this meeting. So for easy access.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Besides the, I guess, handouts that the individual tabling people have, has there ever been like a physical directory or booklet ever been created, an additional handout to go with the youth conference to the people who attend?
Nothing really fulsome and fancy, but we did do a sort of program with the listing of the organizations in it, but and I don't remember when we stopped doing this. It probably was the year that we built the youth conference's own dedicated website. But we can certainly note that the idea of a handout and something to take with you as a resource is an idea that was floated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like handouts.
I think some of the
actually,
issue with that is because we don't always get a firm RSVP from all attendees, and then sometimes they just show up. So it's kind of hard to, put them, to confirm that they were there. Just putting that out there with regards to, having something printed. We don't want to get somebody missed and they showed up. So.
Got you. Thank you, Joanne and Corazon. And actually, what you're both reminding me of, one of the years when it was in the Flatbush Y, I think this is when Anya was with us. There was that there was that cardboard that did have the directory on there. And like there was one year where there was kind of like a cardboard setup, kind of like when you used to do those presentations at elementary school, and it was color coded because we also had balloons set up at certain tables to give you your region. So that wasn't like there, 80, no one was getting, there weren't 80 cardboards to hand to people, right? But that was something that was devised to at least people go, hey, I'm interested in this. It's like, do you see all these blue things here? Look for the blue balloons, and then pew, right? And so that was one year. That was a way that we tried to at least visually cue people in, where because at some point we didn't have enough volunteers to have someone stay at that table like 24/7 to greet people. So at some point it was just, hey, for the people who are going to come in late, just because they will, right? Here's a way for them to at least get a sense of, oh, I'm interested in this. It looks like it's a green balloon. Got it. Right. And then they walk in the room and then they find the green balloon, but they also walk around and then see other things that interest them. Right. So.
Well, I guess to try to drill down on the dates that we're looking at,
Mm-hmm.
is there like the first full week of March starts March 3rd, and it would either be, I think we've avoided Mondays, and I know we don't do Fridays, so it's like
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of that first week of March or the second week of March.
Mm-hmm. So either the 4th through 6th or the 11th through the 13th, right?
It's not gonna, yeah. The 11th will be our board meeting. So we have to decide like whether it's good to have it just before the board meeting or better to have it just after the board meeting so we can remind all the board members to show up and volunteer and sort of promote it that one last push.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the NYC DOE calendar.
I was going to ask you about that, Eric. Yeah, like spring breaks or any recesses or things like.
Not till later.
But the Thursday, March 7th is parent-teacher conferences for elementary school. And Thursday, March 14th is parent-teacher conferences for middle school students and D75. And then the 21st, the following Thursday, is parent-teacher conferences for high school. So there are parents being pulled in directions every Thursday, the first 3 weeks of March. But that's the only thing. There's no the break for the what do you call it? The spring break recess starts March 29th. So school is in session every day in March. It's a long March, as we say, through March in the teacher biz. But yeah, maybe we just avoid Thursdays.
Heard. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for sharing those dates. Really appreciate that.
Looking at Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the 5th, the 6th, 12th, 13th, 19th, or 20th at the latest. Hold those dates, committee members.
All
and
right.
Interested parties.
Will do. Okay. And so do folks have any additional, questions or comments for, our initial conversation about this upcoming conference?
I guess I would just ask, considering I don't know when our next meeting will be, are we gonna do another meeting in December, or will we meet again in January? What do you think, Shauna?
Yeah, I think we couldn't do a December meeting just because the month is for other reasons. I think I put it down for early January, trying to hold.
So between now and January, we'll certainly probably need to nail down a firm date. So I'm sure that needs to happen in December. Just in terms of timeline, if we were having early March, that puts us 4 months out, 3.5 months. So if there's any other homework we need to do before January in that timeline, from past events, aside from, it sounds like, just to speak back what you said, looking at the organizations and thinking about possible additional organizations, possible hiring organizations that we could bring in, like those kinds of ideas. If there's anything else we really need to prepare for January, if you let us know.
Yeah, and then if we could just kind of take a quick glance at the calendar right now, we try to avoid doing this, but if people won't feel tortured, we could try to make this a January 11th meeting. That would be on Thursday. And just note that our monthly board meeting is the previous Monday on January 8th. Otherwise, we are looking at the following week would be fine too, on the 16th or 17th.
So are we deciding the date for the conference at this meeting now, or are we sending an email like in a poll type of thing?
Well, we're deciding the date of the conference based on the availability of the Y
Oh, okay.
or Brooklyn College, but we've narrowed down those Tuesdays or Wednesdays in early to mid-March. My question to the committee is, do you want to try to meet as early in January as possible, which looks like
Yes.
January 10th or 11th, or yes. So January 10th or 11th, and you're cool having 2 meetings that week. Awesome.
I'm going to vote for the 11th.
You got it.
Yeah.
Thursday would be better for me,
Okay.
but I could do either. Just Thursday be better.
Yep.
Preferences
Yep.
help.
I'm down with two meetings in a week. I can do that. Yep.
And then we can think about too, co-chairs, whether you want to add a presentation to that and then continue planning, or if you want to dedicate that whole meeting to planning.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm thinking, I think because we're trying to make this earlier, I think it would be beneficial for us to have that whole meeting just be devoted to the planning.
Okay. I'll try to pull
Eric,
in
what do you
some-
think? Like, you think splitting it,
I agree with you, Carl, but I like a one guest meeting. That might be, I don't know. I just feel like, one of the other business things I was thinking about are, the budget cuts that are going to affect schools and libraries. And I just feel like there might be some sort of, especially in January, whatever's happened, whether we're hearing from any of our libraries. I mean, we're already looking at reduced hours and cutting Fridays, and they're cutting what do you call it, summer rising at the schools on Fridays, and like all these things are in the mix. I just feel like they're I don't know. I feel like room for maybe one might be important.
Well, the
Okay.
thing about including libraries and having them update us on their budget situations is that we could I could look at the libraries that have participated in the youth conference again, and so we could try to get a twofer out of them.
I like this thinking, Sean. That sounds cool.
Okay.
So let's do that then. So then let's do that. Like, I guess, it looks like we're all in agreement for a meeting in early January. The 11th would work better. But let's do that then. Let's see if we can get maybe the libraries as our guest. And then after that, the rest of it could be devoted to planning. So. Cool. And then Eric, sad news, man. Some of the libraries are already going to be, cutting their Sunday service basically in like a week or two. Like, if you go to the Central Public Library's website, I think they have a banner that says, hey, effective this date, like, we're going to be, cutting these hours or these things due to the cuts that were already implemented, right? So.
I'm sitting in the Central Library right now, and it's on everything you open up.
Yep. Oh, no, yeah, we see it, right? It's like, hey, good morning. By the way, this is happening, right? So they're just, oh, man, it's happening. So.
Or no, that sucks. I don't know what else to say. That's
That's
sucks.
true. That's all we can say, right? I don't know, man.
Well, despite dwindling resources, we will bring this youth conference forward so that the resources that do exist are utilized by the people they're meant for.
That's true. That's very true.
Onward.
Well said, Sean.
Yes.
Okay. Other business? Are we wrapping up here? Do we have any other business?
I don't.
Right. I think our business is Thursday night, the rest of it.
Yeah.
We'll be in touch in the meantime. I'll get the links out and I'll get the presentations that were provided to us tonight on the website, and we will just keep rocking and rolling. Thank you everybody for your time, and stay warm.
Will do. You too as well. Thank you so much, everybody.
Do we need a motion thing, or this doesn't count for the?
For
That is fine.
committees,
Motion's in a committee meeting. That's remote.
Just a
Okay.
little motion. That's all.
I mean, Corazon, do you want a motion? We can do one. Do you want one?
Well, I want to practice, motion to,
Okay.
adjourn,
Let's do it. Okay,
Oh,
second.
I did it.
I second.
Yeah, you did it. You did it.
Good night,
Oh,
all.
man.
Good night.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.